So, hey, y'all, hey, and welcome to another session of Meditations with Marigny. And this morning, I had something kind of burning on my heart that I wanted to talk about. And I'll have time to do a video before I start work, but I just thought that I would log on and chat with you guys while I'm driving in. So, last night, I was thinking about something, and the subject matter for this particular video is going to be um, the subject matter for this particular video is going to be a single woman with a married mindset. A single woman with a married mindset, and I kind of want to talk about the things that we are able to do as a single woman, but you will not be able to do as a married woman. For those of us that are on my channel, and for those of you that do follow me on a regular basis, the algorithms show that the women on my channel are between the ages of like 35 and 65. That's a pretty broad range. The majority of the women are between maybe 45 and 60. So that range of women, I know that the majority of them have either been married or been in a long-term relationship and or have children. They understand the family concept. And if they are a regular listener of my channel, it also tells me that they probably have some type of Christian background, and they also have, or some type of religious undergirding. And then they also have a mindset that they would either like to be married or they are married, and they're looking for tools to help them in their marriage, things of that sort. So today, I want to talk about a single woman but having a married mindset. And I want to talk about that because last night I went for a walk, and I do this often. As a single woman, I will go for a walk. And I'm very comfortable in my community. I know just about everybody there. Many of us in my subdivision alone, most of us are the original owners. We actually built our homes, and we've been there for the past. My son is 17, so I can always keep up with how long we've been in that community based on his age, because I was pregnant with him. And so most of us have been there 17, 18 years. We've known each other that long. And there are some houses that have sold over the years, and I may not know some of those neighbors, but for the most part, I know everybody. I know who has a dog. I know who doesn't have a dog. Like, I'm really familiar with the community. But sometimes when it's hot, I like to walk at night because I like to wait for the sun to go down, or I will start my walk right as the sun is going down, and I will get back home. By the time I'm back, it's dark. And last night when I was walking, I heard my spirit say, you know, you won't be able to do this when you get married. When he gets here, you're going to have to cut that out. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, I'm just walking. And sometimes, ladies, we have to understand the assignment. There are components that you can do as a single woman that you cannot do as a married woman. There are people that you can hang out with as a single woman that you cannot hang out with as a married woman. And there are even some friendships that maybe you may not have to discontinue that friendship altogether, but you may have to cut back on it. So, you know, I kind of tease my girlfriends all the time now. I tell them, y'all better get it in while you can. You better call me. We better go to all the concerts. We better talk on the phone. We need to text each other. Like, you better call me now while I am single. Because when May comes, I'm cutting all y'all off, you know. And it's a running joke. But there's an underlying seriousness to it. And the reason being is that we have to understand what the assignment is. And when I say what the assignment is, a married woman, her focus and her commitment is to her husband. If it's a young woman that's listening to this video, your commitment before you have children is to your husband, is to the family, is to the foundational principles that go along with being a wife. And so I know that social media has commercialized the position to the point that many people have forgotten that it is her purpose to be a helpmeet, to help him meet his purpose. And in that, so how I want to make sure that I can marriage this properly. Keyword marriage. I want to bring it together as a proper understanding. As a single woman, I am whole, I'm full, I am complete in myself. But when I come together with my husband, I am going to be in a position where whatever I have in me is going to match with what he is already purposed to do in life. And when it matches with him, then it is not going to just be a situation. So I want to make sure I'm not putting it out there that like you become deficient or you're not significant. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is whatever God has put in you, it is going to match what his purpose already is, and you're going to then be able to just seamlessly bring what you have in you to the table with him, and it is going to then just soar to another level. But in that, there might be some things that as a single woman, you may feel like I'm having to give up this, I'm having to give up that. I think that the way that women have feminized things from a perspective of we want to have more power, we want to have more say, we want to have just equal opportunity. Those things were great. I think about a commercial that used to come on when I was a little girl, and it was a perfume commercial. And it went something like, I can bring on the bacon. I think the perfume was called Ajali. Ajali, stir it up in the pan. And then she said, and never, never forget to romance, cause I'm a woman, Ajali. And that commercial, it gave the seductive pronouncing that it wanted it to give. When she says she can bring home the bacon, in other words, she can go get it herself. She can. And she can stir it up in the pan. She can come in, she can cook, she can. But God never intended for us to have to do all of those things long term. And so I can only speak for myself. And if you don't agree with the process or the thought process that I have, I would say to people, just do like I do, just click right on past that video. I want to make sure that we understand that there was an order. There was a reason for the order. There was a reason for the order. And that doesn't mean that we can't be paid equal amounts. That doesn't mean that we are not worth it. But it means that as a wife, you have to understand the order of God. And I want to make sure that I'm clear. There are some marriages that can operate and it can be successful without operating in the order that I speak of, but I can only speak from what I think and what I believe and what my thought processes are. I saw what worked in my home with my parents, and I saw where my mother, who was a strong woman, intelligent woman, had plenty of go get it. The reason that my daddy became the man that he became is because my mama was the strong woman that she was. The reason that that I see men in a beautiful light is because my mama was the type of woman that she was. She was not docile. She was not sitting back, and he didn't have to. I never saw my dad talk to my mom in a way where he had to like keep his foot on her neck. I never saw that. The order of our house, it moved so seamlessly that he just was who he was. And my daddy didn't even go to church. Like I say that, y'all have heard me say that on other videos if you watch me. My dad was not a dude that was in church until I was older. And remember, he died when I was 18. So I don't recall him going to church until I was about, maybe I had to be old enough to remember the memory, because I remember the years that he did not go to church. So I would say maybe when I got about 8 or 10 years old, somewhere around in there, that's when my dad started going to church on a regular basis. Now, remember, I have siblings that are older than me because I'm the youngest, which means that my mama had been with my daddy for many, many years before he got to that place. So I don't know who that was for. Maybe somebody might be struggling with whether or not their husband or their mate is, spiritually sound for them. But at the end of the day, my father did not come into that place in his life until later on in life. So sometimes, ladies, if you got a good man, he's doing what he needs to do. He might have the godly principles, and I'll just say you might need to look at the seed. You might need to see if you need to pull the weeds. You may need to see whether or not you need to trim or prune them, cut back. What things can you take off of his plate? If there are certain things that you want and you desire, how can you then go in and manifest that for him? So I don't know who that little component might have been for, but I just wanted to say to you that you have to think in a married mindset if you want to be a wife. And that mindset doesn't happen once you become a wife. That mindset is already in you. That mindset is already a component that you operate and work with. And so, and the other thing is, after I went for my walk last night and God had that conversation with me, because I do know that, like realistically speaking, in the world that we live in, most people would not walk in the evenings. And like I said, normally it's daylight outside when I first start walking, but it's sorry guys, it's after I've gotten out there and started walking, it might get dark. And now, it's getting darker like earlier, so I don't know. But anyway, with that component, it was just something for me to think about, and something for women that want to be wives to think about. Like, we really do have to put a thought process in place of what things that we have to alter. And I know sometimes my channel may sound like it is very male, like it's imbalanced. It leans towards the man. But I'm saying this to men as well. If he wants to be a husband, he has to make an adjustment. That's one of the reasons why you don't want him if he has not given up the party life. You don't want him if he is still living a life where he is out and running the streets and all of that. If he's not ready to be a husband, you do not want to pull him into that zone, because if you do and he comes, he is not going to then provide to you what you're going to need as a wife. And that's why I am very strategic in how I am moving right now in relationships and dating. Because if it is not a good fit, I am not going with it. I don't care if we were standing at the church doors. We could already have the invitations out. And we could already have invited all our family and friends and everybody that's supposed to be coming. If it's not right, y'all, I'm not doing it. And so I'm just saying that to you so that you would know that the components that we may need to be looking at as women who desire to be wives is to make sure that you're examining areas of your life that you might have to make an alteration to. And just know that those alterations don't mean that you have to give up something. It just means that, God is going to work it out to your good. He is going to allow you to become what you need to be for your husband. And if you're like me, like, I really enjoyed the married life. So I enjoyed the components that came along with that. And I think that's the other thing that we have to look at. Like, do you actually enjoy being a wife? Do you like servanthood? Because that's what being a wife is. It really is just being a good servant to those who are with you. All right, y'all. I want y'all to have a wonderful day, and we will chat a little bit later. All right. Bye.